Hey guys, so I want to talk a little bit more about this bathtub problem, and I want to show you guys two different ways in which I kind of thought through it, and I want to see if you guys did something similar. Um, so the first way that I thought about it was I actually took the inside of this bathtub and I measured the length, the width, and the height. Now, when I measured the length, and when I'm talking about the length, I'm talking about this right here. When I measured the length, I measured 41 and 9/10 centimeters. Okay. Then I went and measured the width, which was this, and I measured 31 and 75 hundredths centimeters. And lastly, I measured the height, which was this, and I measured 15 and 2/10 centimeters. Now, notice again, this isn't a perfect rectangular prism, but what I knew was that if I multiplied, remember we can find the volume by taking the length times the width times the height. If I multiplied those three things, I could get the volume of the inside of the bathtub. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say length times width times height. So we're going to take 15 and 2/10 times 41 and 9/10 times 31 and 75 hundredths, which gets me this really big number. So I'm going to write this over here. So we have, and we're going to round this, 20,220 and 9/10. We'll just round that to the tenths place. And even if we wanted to, we could round it to the nearest whole number. Since that 9/10 is almost another whole, we could say 20,221. Now, when we're talking about what in this case, we're talking about, remember, we're talking about volume, and we are measuring in centimeters, so that's going to be cubic centimeters. Now, something to keep in mind is a cubic centimeter is equal in value to a milliliter. So we could also say then that the pool will hold 20,000, about 221 milliliters. Remember the conversion between milliliters and liters is a liter is 1,000 milliliters. So if we just take this number and divide by 1,000, that means moving the decimal back three times, so like dividing by 10 three times. So that would be, put a decimal here, 1, 2, 3. It would be just over. It would be just over 20 liters. So either 20,221 milliliters or just over 20 liters. Now, that is one way to go about figuring that out. I actually went back and I tried to do it a second way using some different information. Now, by the way, you guys didn't know the exact measurements, but from the video, you could have given approximate close measurements. So second way I did it was I went back and looked at this container, which I have right here, this container, and I filled it up with water. And when I filled it up with water, I then put it into a measuring cup and figured out that this container holds, and this isn't perfect, but this is pretty close, 700 milliliters of water just in one of these containers. Now, as I went back, and hopefully you figured this out in the video as well, as I went back and looked at the video, I counted how many of those containers I put into this, and I figured out that I filled it up 8 times. So I had 8 of these scoops, and that's how much I put in there. Now you'll notice that 8 of these scoops definitely does not fill the tub up completely, but 8 of these scoops does fill it up partially. Now, in the video, I tried to shake it so that you could see where the water level was. From this perspective, you may notice the water level is somewhere about here. The way I kind of looked at this is I kind of looked at it in fourths. So I said that currently I had 1/4 of the tub that was filled up. And one thing that I knew was that if a fourth of the tub was 8 scoops, then each fourth, because each one of these is going to be a fourth, and a fourth, then I would have to get 4/4. So what I did was I multiplied 8 times 4, and I figured out this estimation, by the way. Scoops, there we go. I figured out that it's going to take about 32 scoops then to completely fill up this tub. And keep in mind, that's an estimation. Now, one thing I know about each of those scoops is that each scoop is 700 milliliters. Remember, it takes 1,000 milliliters to make a liter. So this is about 7/10 of a liter. It's more than half of a liter, but not quite a whole liter. Now, what I did then was I knew if it takes 32 of these, and they're each 700 milliliters, this will then tell me how many milliliters are in the whole tub, and I come up with 22,400. So 22,400. And again, remember that is milliliters, which again, if I want to know liters, I'm just going to take that number and divide it by 1,000, moving the decimal back 3 times, is going to give me 22 4/10 liters. Now, it's not the exact same number as the first way we did it, but it's pretty close. So 22 4/10, and initially when we did it the other way, we got 20 221 thousandths liters. So we're off by about 2 liters, the 2 different ways that we did it. But notice both ways make sense, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a way to make sense here. So these are 2 ways that you could have gone about doing this. Hopefully you did something pretty similar.